some point I got married, and we were expecting a child, and I was like, I don't want to have this employee story for the next 10 years. Right? I want to.
So having a child made you do something actually more risky.
Absolutely. Absolutely, and I'm glad you pointed that out. It was probably, I tell people this all the time, it was probably the worst time to start a business, but it was the most inspired I'd ever been. And I was like, look, I can't keep pointing at other people and saying, look, I want these things, and these people are going to determine whether or not I can have these things. It's going to have to be, something that I determine.
Now, we do Tech Tuesday because 2% of tech is from the global majority. Like we're 2% of tech,
yep.
Which seems ridiculous because technology is problem solving, right? I understand that people invest in people that, when you go to Stanford, you got buddies at Stanford. It's not necessarily racist or racial that we're not getting the money. It's that people invest in people that they like. I remember a buddy of mine telling me, the Chinese community, you got to know that they won't work with you unless you come and break bread and that they feel comfortable. And that was foreign to me. I'm like, I got a good idea. You have money. And he was like, come over, have dinner. And I was like, why? I didn't get it. But relationships are important. And I think, a lot of times people invest in people that they're comfortable with. So how do we break this barrier, and how do we get more of you, Mr. Vaughan, in those seats to be able to give out money, and more you, Mr. Lowe, in these seats to give out money to develop companies in the tech space?
You want to go first? I'll go first.
What you
That's great.
There are biases in investments, right? Like you said, they invest in people who look like them, but at the same time, there's a return factor. You know this as an investor, and with the return, African American businesses aren't really selling as fast as our counterparts. That's because there's only 2% of us, and